Now, operations at Impala's Marula Mine in Limpopo have been suspended after 19 miners tested positive for the coronavirus. The miners had not gone underground yet, and have since been screened, tested and quarantined. The company has met with Minister Gwede Mantashe and Premier Stan Mathabatha, and to talk to us more about these developments, we're joined now by the Head of Health and Safety at Impala Platinum, Jon Andrews. Jon, thanks very much for your time this morning. And I think the most worrying thing about this news of these 19 miners that have tested positive is, in fact, that they are all asymptomatic, which means, you know, there's a massive tracking and tracing process that surely must be underway now.
Yes, but before we start, can I just say good morning to yourself and to your viewers. So if I could just correct an issue. So the 19 miners, okay, those are 19 people working at Marula Platinum mine. However, 5 of those individuals are from our clinic staff, 1 a doctor and the other 4 clinic staff. So in terms of the question of asymptomatic, that's quite correct, okay. As of this morning still, there's not a single person who has got any symptoms. So on one hand, when you say that's worrying, it is, okay, it's challenging, let's say. But on the other hand, okay, it can also be very useful, because what it may mean is that the virility of this virus, okay, is very much lower than what we have perhaps seen in the Northern Hemisphere. So that is on a very positive side. So that's why I'm mentioning that from the clinic side, I mean, 5 of these people are well-qualified medical people. They know exactly what is going on, and they have reported absolutely no symptoms either before or since the testing and since they've been in isolation. I do need to, if I may also just point out, we are retesting all of those individuals just to verify the laboratory results, because obviously we need to be absolutely sure that the initial PCR test results are in fact absolutely accurate.
Yeah, let me just hone in on those 5 clinic staff that have now tested positive, Jon. They would have been, of course, at the front line of dealing with people who are at Impala Platinum, correct? So if they were unaware that they were positive, we know that being asymptomatic doesn't mean that you're not spreading the virus. In fact, it makes you all the more dangerous because you're still spreading it around. Do they have all of the necessary PPEs, the personal protective equipment that's needed in a job like this, in a time like this?
Absolutely. So all of the clinic staff have PPE, and I think you make a very important point here that I need to clarify. Not all of these members of my clinic staff have been in contact with any of the other positive patients. So we are looking at this very differently, and this indicates if these results are verified by other laboratories, and those tests have already been done, and we will be getting those results this morning. This indicates that there is widespread local asymptomatic infections.
Jon, I want to ask you about these discussions that have taken place between the Minister, Gwede Mantashe, and the Premier there in Limpopo. Take us into your confidence. What was said, what was discussed during those meetings?
I'm not getting a very clear, I'm getting background noise from your studio, but I think it's best that, sorry. There's a lot of background noise coming from the studio. So I was at the meetings yesterday, but I think it's best that we ask the MEC and the Minister to comment on those. Thank you.
All right. Just as a parting shot, if you can still hear us clearly, Jon, what are the plans now, just in terms of the reopening of that mine in Limpopo?
So the first thing is to establish the facts here. So we've sent up an additional medical team of 10 nurses and another doctor just to go and help. Go and stress that there's no clinical help needed. This is administrative help in doing the contact tracing and to try and determine where the positive cases originally came from. And from there, working very closely with the Department of Health, we'll get a better indication of what's happening in that community. And then later on, I mean, that won't be a medical decision. The Department of Health, the DMR, and ourselves will then decide whether to open the mine and when that happens and under what conditions.
Jon Andrews is the head of health and safety at Impala Platinum Mine, and he joins us as we continue to discuss the story around 19 people. Jon, thanks very much for your time. 19 people testing positive at that mine. Jon telling us that 5, in fact, of those 19 people are clinic staff. One of them is a doctor, and a massive tracking and tracing undertaking is now underway to find out where those infections came from.